Alright, this is off meta, and I am back with you guys to show you my current build of White Forest Azamina pile. It is, I believe, 40 cards right now, but either way, we're going to get into it, and I will explain a little better than I did last time of why I'm playing things the way I'm playing them, and just as a warning now, it's a power spell build, not a hand trap build. There are no hand traps in this. And for the sideboard, I think the only hand traps I'm playing is Lancia. Yeah, because it's just necessary. So I have this built as a blind go second deck. It's gonna go second no matter what. And then the Gandora Field Center from Bean of Games that he gave me. Anyways, we have Dia Bellstar because Azamina engine. She's just important. I'm playing one. You get to her fast enough, and I didn't want to go over 40. Like I said, I'm pretty sure I'm at 40, 41 at the most. And the space is already relatively tight anyways, just because I'm trying to keep board breakers in there. Queen Azamina, because she just works really well with the interruptions on the opponent's turn. Plus she gives you an additional body. And even if like your opponent and stuff blows her up, it's kind of like Dia Bellstar, but better. I got two of the new Elzette, Azamina of the White Forest. We'll get back into why these three cards are a little better in this version. But overall, it's the polymerization plus a Sinful Spoil search plus a free special summon. So, your extender plus whatever else you need it for. The starters are just the typical three regular Elzette of the White Forest and 3 Sylvie, because search for the spell, which then searches for this or this, and then this searches for this, which then searches for this. So no matter which way you're going, from this to this to this, or from this to this to this, but either way you're trying to get all three with the spells. The remainder of the White Forest cards, I'm actually playing 2 Sia right now, just because I want her in there for the special summon specifically. I want to be able to get extra bodies on the field. The next card is currently a proxy, because I don't own them yet. I have some in the mail, but I have not received them. So, this particular card is what makes these cards better. Do I think the ratio is currently correct? Probably not. But I think it works just fine. So we are playing 3 Nightmare Apprentice to search for either of these illusions, so I don't have to waste Deception to search for it. Which then, because of the way this works, gives me an additional 3 starters, which are going to allow me to get to her more quickly. The other part is she's a dark, so when you play her with Sylvie or Rusia, it just makes a light and dark Chaos Angel same turn. So it just gives you a lot. Plus she can discard to do things, or discard to special summon herself, so she just works well with the deck. But overall, this is like the primary change in tech for monsters. But at the same time, that is all my monsters except one monster, which we'll get to at the very end. So currently we are playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 monsters, 16 total. So it's not a lot of monsters, but what we're trying to do, it works out perfectly. As long as you open 1 or 2 of them, you're usually going to be fine. And I don't want to open too many of them because of the way the deck works. You need the spells to play. So anyone who's actually played the deck, you understand, like, it's a really hard way to balance it. So I'm choosing to give up the monster consistency. So if I draw 1, I hope it just goes the distance. For the remainder of the White Forest cards, we have Azamina Apes, which is an Azamina and White Forest card, so double searchable. Woes, because it just lets us get to our monsters easier. Tails, because it lets us get to our monsters. We are playing double Sinful Spoils, because it lets me go into interruptions on my opponent's turn. So with that, we're doing the same thing with debtors. So the reason I'm playing 2 of this and 2 of this is because I want to be able to play interruptions on my opponent's turn if I can't finish them in turn 2 and have some form of defensive abilities. Plus, if worst case, I can use these as non-targeting defensive abilities. So if, let's say I get hit with an imperm and I have the stuff in hand, I can use this to fusion summon, or I can use this to fusion summon and just try to disrupt things. This is the main disruption card, unfortunately, but that's okay. The typical 3 wanted package for Diabell. And then we have the Deception for the Diabell and the regular Hollowed. So we're playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 options to fusion summon. These also let me special summon on my opponent's turn. These let me special summon things back on my turn, and then this is, you know, just recyclable, so I can keep using it multiple turns. And that also gives me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Sinful Spoil cards before this last one, and the last one is just Sinful Spoil's Subversion Snake Eyes, because this card is a 1 card out to Detonator. If I draw it, Detonator goes away. If I have to search it, I might lose a Diabell Star, but Detonator still goes away. It's the same for Chaos Angel. It's the same for any of the Malice main board. So just, it's a fair... Maybe fair is not the right word. It's just a less deck resource intensive Ultimate Slayer, really. And then it does the same stuff as Ultimate Slayer. Since it's putting it in the back row, they're not going to be able to go, oh, let me get my card back. Now, granted, they can chain to it and destroy and do twins, but that's fine. Because if they go into the nonsense with twins, we are playing double tactics. Because, or I'm sorry, double tactics thrust. Because it's just really good. It searches for any of these 5. It also searches for talent. So it searches for most of the engine. And then this is one of the board breakers. The main board breaker in the deck is going to be Droplet. Because Droplet just works really well with Queen. You sending Queen to do an activated effect, and then Queen will come back. She doesn't work with Deception or Diabell Star. Because whatever reason. Well, it doesn't work with Deception because it says Tribute, specifically. And this says if this card is sent from your hand or field, or I'm sorry, specifically, verbatim, it says if this card in your hand or field is sent to the graveyard or banished by an activated effect. It's not being sent. It's being sent, but it's not. It doesn't count because it's a tribute. And then it doesn't work with Diabell Star because it's a cost. Which is weird because it works with the rest of these Azamina cards, the Hollowed and the Debtors. It works for this fusion, so I'm not really sure why it doesn't work with Deception, but it doesn't, I guess. I'm not sure. Once I have more information on why it doesn't work, I can explain it better. But I'm fairly positive the reason it doesn't work and the reason I got it, we were trying to figure out if it worked or not, is because of the specific wording Tribute. And then the last one that I'm playing as the board breaker in the main is the Evenly Matched, because people don't expect it. And if they don't expect it, they don't set up for it. If they don't set up for it, they lose. And the only reason I'm playing this is because I got blown out by this card last week when I was playing the hand trap version of this deck at 40 cards. Very similar build. The last 4 cards were not in the whatever. Debtors was at 1, but overall the deck was, I would say, 90% the same. It was 2 droplets, no evenly. The last 4 cards weren't in there, 1 less Rusia, but I was playing 10 hand traps. And I got evenly matched. I'm like, well, I can't beat you now. So I decided to go board breaker style, which gives me pretty much 7 board breakers. Not including what I can fusion summon into, which we will get to. And then thrust lets me go into, 1, 2, 3, 4 other board breakers, plus engine. Apologize for saying so much. I'm trying to figure out how to word this next part, because this next part is kind of where I'm been trying really hard to test to make it work, and it works fine. And I wish there was more space in the deck because I'd play a larger engine of this, just because when people see it, they get really annoyed and it puts them on tilt. But B, it just works really well with the White Forest stuff having spell and traps to pop. And it's not toys, and it's not Crystal Beast as much as I like to do that. We are actually playing one Poplar, because at worst it's a normal summon that lets us search for a Snake Eyes card so we can search for Subversion. But the main Snake Eyes card in the deck is 3 Divine Temple. The purpose behind this is you send this for whatever reason to the grave. It resets itself and you can pop it again. And then you can use Temple to bring it back. And then when you bring it back, you get 2 more spell and trap pops. And if you don't bring it back on your opponent's turn, you can go, cool, bring this out when you summon a monster, search for this or Subversion. And Subversion gets recycled so much with the Wanted that it happens frequently. So there's just a lot of things that synergize way better than they should, despite it only being like a 4-card engine. So I'll show what my more favorite thing to do with those are when we get to it. The next thing we're going to hop into is going to be the extra deck, which is a little weird on its own too. Apologize for that. I was trying to get to stop doing a weird autofocus on everybody. So we'll start with the link package for this build. I'm really still torn if I want to play Typhoon or not. So currently there's no Typhoon and no Exceeds whatsoever. But for the cards I am playing for the links, I'm playing 1 IP to go into the SP as an interruption. And then the last card I'm playing is Lineup, because Lineup pretty much searches for everything in the deck. And then she also can special summon a lot of what's being played right now from your opponent's grave. So you can, go into Lina, take their monster, do whatever, use this for synchro, whatever else, or IP over it, or SP over if you really need an answer right away. The biggest change that I might make, depending on how locals goes this week, is dropping Lina for Typhoon. And honestly, I might do that anyways before getting the locals, because I'm not playing a big giant Snake Eyes package. So when I link in this deck, I typically don't go more than SP anyways, just because it makes so much other stuff. But it's just nice to have these. And then it's nice to have her because she's a spellcaster. I guess the other thing I could do is I could take IP out. The interruption's nice, but there's so many other interruptions in the deck that it's not necessary. So this could also become Typhoon, but SP is just going to stay because it's a removal. Plus an interruption on your opponent's turn. I want to save the fusions for last. So the synchros are just typical kind of little synchro package. Still keeping Zapper Shrimp in because it helps me do the interruption with Chaos Angel and Diabel. 1 Severa because Book of Eclipsing your opponent is really good. And double piercing from this Diabel and Resilia is just, I don't know what else to say. It's just when you have this in Resilia and it's a plus 1,000 and they both have double piercing and you just put their board face down, it's just so strong and people don't remember that that's a way to lose. Speaking of the Resilia Sinister Soul, and then Diabel. When the new stuff comes out, I'm really excited to play the little baby Snake Eyes, the little level 4 that has the colors in it because it's pretty. And then Chaos Angel because the combo of summon this, pass turn, discard something, summon this, on resolution, activate effect, or keep it in an open game state, you don't like something, activate effect, resolves, whenever your opponent resolves whatever, new chain, banish, monster. I mean, it's just another interruption like IP. So far, what the extra deck's really trying to do is interrupt with that, interrupt with that, and interrupt with that. And technically this is the whole interruption combo, but you're trying to get to the end board of SP, Chaos Angel, or Severa. And these are just extenders. Because it's just what they do. And then the fusions are where there's just a lot going on, and it's super good. Everything in this is just interruptions and control, and it just works really well at Deaders. And then your normal plays Sylvie. We're still not playing a trap card for second effect. I haven't decided on what trap I would want to play. If I play one, I have a good feeling I'll play. I don't remember which one it's called, but it's the one that essentially Book of Moon's your opponent's card, and if you have an illusion level 6 or higher on the board, you can reset it, and after you activate the second time, it gets banished. But it's just a double Book of Moon. And then Rosilago, because she extends into the Sinful Spoils package. Azamina Moya, because she just lets you blow up cards for no reason, and I can't see how this isn't a good interrupt, minus the fact it says destroy. So it may not be the best interruption, but when you can go wanted on your opponent's turn, or wanted on your turn, or have this out for a turn, it dies, bring it back with Deaders, activate Hollowed Engrave. Because it was activated, you could use effect, destroy 2 cards, put it back in hand, bring out another monster. So she's just good. With the Sinful Spoils of the White Forest fusion spell, essentially, we're going to play the Snake Eyes Doom Dragon. Because, you know, the illusions, the other big illusions, Apprentice Magician's an illusion. So, you know, Apprentice lets you go into this, and this. The only thing we're really missing is Fiend, so this one's a little pretty much just on the Sinful package coming out. Because, yeah, I'm not playing fiendsmith. They cost too much for what they do monetarily, when I can still get a lot of the same value out of different cards. It doesn't have the same grind game, but for people who want to see this deck profile in a manner that's not as expensive, I think it's just better to show this off. And I enjoy this version better because it's pure. Saint Azamina, just because she just stops a lot. And then the combo with her is you take these and you just attack into something, and they take double damage. And then if you can't do it with that by itself, you can do either the Elzets, this one, or the Azamina, and do the exact same thing. You just push with it, take the double damage if it's the Azamina cards, and then, yeah, you do it again, and they take double damage again, and then you can just beat them from a defensive monster. So that's the biggest recencies in there. It does stop this from being targeted, and like Malice, you can't target it. They can't target their own stuff. They can't bestial their own stuff in the grave. They can't node stuff in the grave. They can't cross stuff in the grave. So you can't detonator your own self. Like if this comes out and you start doing things, they can't target this. They can't target detonator himself. So it's just a really good answer for a lot of things. And it only takes 2 Sinful Spoils and an Azamina summon fusion. And then the last card, last 2 cards technically, but it's the same card, is the Souls. For the specific reason, it says if this card is fusion summoned, target 1 card in the field, send it to the grave. This can protect from things that banish your cards, so you can send it to the grave because a lot of them just recur. This is another, I'm going to kill your detonator and there's really nothing you're going to do about it. You can make one on your turn, send something, and then set a Deaders up for the next turn, because most people are only playing one of each, and then on their turn you go Deaders, summon, get rid of it, and then it's another interruption. So this is the same as the Chaos Angel and the SP Little Knight. It's just more banish and send cards to get rid of stuff. So with Deaders and Hollow, I can't remember what it's called, you just get to play into things. If I find any fiend monsters I actually really want to play in this deck that I think works well in this deck, I'll add them in. I haven't found any yet except the Chaos Angel, which, funny enough, this also works with AFs, but you can use this for the summon. So on your turn, you can, hit something with it, and then use it as part of the fusion material for the soul. And if you don't like that, you can also like do the Zapper Shrimp into this, hit something, and you have enough stuff like on hand, in hand, and on field. You can do this and then hit 2 cards in the same turn. So there's a lot of. All I'm doing is trying to break the board. That's all this deck's trying to do. We're not playing hand traps. Hand trap warring with decks that are just more consistent is just not fun. You're not going to win the resource management game against fiendsmith versions. So I came up with a way not to deal with it. And the way not to deal with it is to banish and hit everything as quickly as possible and just keep sending it on my turn and their turn so they can't play. That's the goal, is we're going to play you can't play, and that's another part of the Snake Eyes card, which I didn't talk about too much, but this also lets you non-destroy, remove cards on its special summon. So you can place a monster face up in the spell and trap zone, and you can cheat it out from having 2 monsters in spell and trap, which isn't going to happen most of the time, but because we are playing the Poplar, it gives me a Snake Eyes monster, and then I play more than enough illusions. So, and I can even send this from the hand to the grave on my opponent's turn. So let's say like I have a temple, this somehow gets bounced to my hand with like apps or something. You can, well, I guess we can get in the combos, but you can do goofy things where you can get it back on the field for free and search more cards. And then the side deck currently is not the best side deck, but is the side deck we're using. Because it just continues to facilitate the current goal, which is I want to go second, and if I don't go second, protect myself as much going first so I can just build a board that's really hard to beat because most people aren't playing board breakers. So the first card is an extra deck card, which is Millennium Eyes Restrict. And the reason we play Millennium Eyes Restrict is because we have an instant fusion in the side, and the instant fusion lets, with the Millennium Eyes Restrict, literally just becomes a second Called by the Grave. So we are just playing 2 Called by the Graves, essentially. It takes up an extra 2 spots in the extra, or the side deck, but that's fine because the next card is our 3rd Triple Talents Tactic. 2 more talents, because taking the hand apart and ripping it apart is fine. Now we are playing go first cards for if we get stuck going first, and that is going to be 3 strike. And the next one is really important. It's a very underutilized floodgate that in this deck, it actually hurts our deck a lot, but it's also something you can send as a cost for other cards, so you can shut down your opponent for a turn or 2 and then go, cool, now I want to play. And that's 3 Soul Drain. This card's gone up a lot in value. It stops Fiendsmith, it stops Malice, it stops Mitsurugi coming back from the grave, it stops Crystron, it stops the mirror match. I'm trying to think of currently what decks I see frequently that it doesn't stop, besides Yubel to an extent, but even like I think it's Phantom, whatever the main deck, Phantom or Spirit, it stops Spirit still. It's gonna stop, like, it doesn't stop Pure-Izeal. Pure-Izeal just plays around it, they don't care, so you don't side it against that deck. It doesn't stop Shanturian, but that's not really being played. Fire Kings, it stops. So many decks require the graveyard to play. It's just a really good graveyard hate card, and then just the added bonus of banished monsters can't use their effect either, so it gives me 6 versions of Lancia, really. So stops the banished effects, stops Fiendsmith engine, stops White Force engine, stops part of the Azamina stuff stops Crystron's. Like, it does a lot for no reason. Hopefully they don't hit it because, yeah, I mean, they probably will. But maybe not, because you still have macro, you still have defissure. And it really does hurt a lot of decks that can play it in there effectively. Blue Eyes might be able to play it a little bit, but then you shut down the Primite engine. So there's none of the top decks are using this because it hurts them more unless it's just straight pure Ryzeal. And I don't even see pure Ryzeal players playing this very often, despite it's really cheap compared to the rest of the deck. But it also is still like a $6 to $7 rare, and I think like a $10 super. When I picked these up, they were like $2, and then people started side decking and maining them for like 3 events, and they spiked, and now people can't find them. It'd be really nice to see a reprint on this, so everybody can play it, preferably in like a common and an OTS pack, and then just keep it as a decent floodgate for a little while, like Lancia is, because it's good against certain decks, and other decks it just doesn't do anything against. And like I said, Solemn Strike's just one of the best go first cards. It was this for Judgment, and I'm trying this first just to keep stopping monster effects. I don't want you to play. I want to be able to break your hand, and then after I break your hand, I'm destroying your board, because everything in my deck is meant to kill the board. So overall, that's the deck profile. It's kind of lengthy and long. I don't have like the best verbal setup for what I wanted to say, but overall I think I got most of my points across. But the main combo I keep wanting to tell people about is really, it doesn't matter which cards you open, but essentially as long as you open 2 of these cards, maybe 3. So let's say unfortunately we have to go the longest route, right? And then I don't know, we'll just grab 2 more random cards. It doesn't matter what they are. And yes, this isn't like 1 card combos, but sometimes this is what it is. This would not be a very fun hand, but it wouldn't be a bad hand. So with this, the first thing I want to do with a hand like this is decide, do I want to worry about the Azamina package, or do I want to worry about the White Forest first? So this will get me into White Forest. This gets me into the Azamina. The rest of these are really not relevant at the moment, other than the fact this can be chained to this, and this can use this as the send like you can with Hollowed. But let's say I would rather lose the White Forest. So I would first start with Temple. And then Temple's going to get me... Man, this thing really doesn't want to focus. Poplar in the back row. And then from here, we're going to special this by sending Poplar. And then we're going to chain link 1, chain link 2 to chain block an Ash. So then Poplar's going to come back in the back row for its once per turn effect. And then we're going to search for any illusion card. And like I said, I decided to go this route. I guess it still ends up being a sinful route versus a White Forest route. So I guess she's more of a sinful extender is a better way to look at it. I wasn't expecting to pull out 2 Deaders, but that's fine. But then from here, you have 2 discards for other things. So like if I don't want to get rid of anything in my hand, we can do Wanted. You've already chain blocked once. They can sure Ash here. If they do Ash, you can respond Steaders. It's not going to stop it from being negated, but at least you can, get rid of this. Go into Resilia. Or Resilago, sorry. And then search for a sinful card anyways. At which point, you can just search for whatever sinful card you want. Does not matter which one, as long as it's something that you need. So since we can't go into Witch, you can just go into I guess we could get Azamina cards too. I think you would just search for the deception still. Then you activate deception. You contribute apprentice. Deception lets you go into hollowed. Activate hollowed. Hollow sending deception like normal. Going into Silva. And then from here, I personally would just set the debtors, because in the end phase you get spoils back, and then on your opponent's turn you have a send a card disrupt, and if for any reason you need to get things back sooner, you can. You can also get hollowed back sooner. If you want to get the draw, you have the wanted in the grave for the draw. So this isn't the strongest board, but it still gave you, I mean, you have 7 cards, another interruption that gets you more cards back. If she dies by combat or card effect, that gives you more cards from the deck. And then on your turn you get this back. This brings back either one of these that die, so if you tribute to negate, you get to summon it back on your turn, not including the one that's here. And then wanted puts deception back to draw another card. So on your turn, you're going to get 1, 2, 3 more cards. Just because. And you still have the Elzet of the Azamina, or Elzet Azamina of the White Forest. And for any reason, Poplar dies again. He gets to reset himself, and when your opponent summons a monster, you can summon Poplar. And then Poplar searches for this, giving you another card. So then you end up going, 1, 2, 3, 4 cards plus. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 4 cards plus 5 cards if you bring him out as well. And your draw for the turn. The deck just can build so many resources out of nothing just because of this little 4-card engine. And it's just a really good extender. It's already kind of a long video, but I'll throw in one more. I'll just give it a good shuffle and throw in like one quick hand and explain what I would think. So, and we'll even, whatever the hand is, we'll even play it assuming there's a droll and an imperm, or a droll and an ash. We'll say droll and ash, because they do the same thing, but they're also different. But even in the most unperfect world, we'll say droll, ash, and imperm. Because Fluolos, like, cool, we can just play a card, pass, and then play on your opponent's turn. Droll completely shuts us down. Ash doesn't shut us down, it's alright. Imperm and Fact Failure are alright. Ghost Spell's okay. Nibiru is fine. You can stop before you get to Nib if you really have to. If not, you can bring out Sylvia typically before it gets to that point. But, let's just do a quick hand and see what we can do. So, definitely should probably shuffle better, but that's okay. But essentially, there's a lot going on here. So like I said, let's assume there's a ash and a droll. Because that would, honestly, that would be the worst thing to have happen right this second. I would start with the Diabel sending the Elzet. That's either going to advertise you have an Elzet, or advertise you have no spell and trap cards in hand. Either way, they're going to be like, oh, cool, whatever. They have some knowledge. And then you're going to attempt to set. Ash doesn't stop setting. Droll doesn't stop setting. So this is just the better opener. If you get impermed or veilered, then cool, we don't set, and then we continue with the other place. But let's say, wait, that's not what's happening, because I said Ash and Droll. We're going to set Deception. Now, I think at this point in time, I'd rather see what they have before anything else. So I think we would go activate deception, and then we're going to use effect. If I was playing against Azamina White Forest, I would sit here and think if I had Ash and Droll, do I let him get hollowed in an Omni Negate and stop him from searching the rest of the turn, or do I just stop the one search after you tribute and hope that nothing else is in their hand? I would personally Droll, but a lot of people would just shotgun the Ash when you tribute because it looks like a lost advantage. So activate effect, tributing for cost. Opponent Ashes. And you're like, cool. Activate effect, sending as cost, and then they're gonna Ash it. And you're like, cool. Normal, special, and then from here we just decide what route we want to go. Silvera might be okay. No, not Silvera. Roselia. Yeah, the one that searches. And then on summon, activate effect, sending. Because now on your opponent's turn, you can use this to bounce this, to special summon this, or add this back to hand. And this is coming back at the end phase. So we'll just search for a White Forest card. And with that White Forest card, we're actually going to just start building into a lot of advantage. Activate Tails to search for Elzette of the Azamina, or Azamina of the White Forest. Reveal special, Synchro, Diabel Chain Link, or Elzette Chain Link 1, Diabel Chain Link 2 to chain block. If they have anything else cool. At this point, I mean, you might have been drolled at this point, so now I'm already past where I supposed to have been. My point is, I'm thinking 2 hand traps. If let's say that they draw after like Tails, that's still fine. We still get this, which gives us this back, and then end phase we get to set this. And then on your opponent's turn, you can activate effect, send, do it in the proper order for Zapper, new chain, set, and then we just wait for the opponent to do anything. And at which point, anything they do, we go, cool, activate effect, resolution, Chaos Angel, banish something, figure out a way past the Chaos Angel. And then at any other point in the turn, if we need to, we can bounce whatever one. So let's say we do this one to special summon back Roselia, and then this effect engrave will activate, adding back to hand. So then you still end with 5 cards after you got shut down multiple times. And then on your turn, you draw, activate Tails again if it doesn't get destroyed, and continue doing what we were doing before. I would look for Elzette the Azamina again, because you really want the Sinful card. Activate effect, special, synchro into a 6. Do this again, because the card I drew is this. Send, search, search. So Chainlink 2, Chainlink 1. Chainlink 2 will get White Forest Sinful Spoils. Chainlink 1 will get Wanted. Woes will set itself. Activate Deception. Tributing off. Searching for Hollowed. Add Hollowed. And then your hand starts looking pretty good out of nowhere. You can activate the hollowed, chaining the wanted. And I would send both after we search for Diabel to summon Moya, Regina. Getting our Diabel, wherever she may be. Oh, she's in the grave. We played her in the first turn. Yeah. Diabel. All that resolves, goes back to hand. And then she gets really goofy because now you have this stuff. So you can go send special. That effect is going to let's add Sylvie. Normal Sylvie. Search for spell or trap, which lets us, well, set. Search for spell or trap. Search for another White Forest card. Personally would go for probably Af's this point in time, just because it gives you a board wipe on your opponent's turn. Returning Forest Azamina to the deck to get hollowed back, letting you blow up 2 cards. Then you can synchro into a 6. Book Eclipse the board. From the Book of Eclipse, you can activate Diabel, sending Afs. Diabel effect. Setting Subversion, if I can find it. Subversion, in case we need it. The other thing that's good about that is we can just go hollowed, send Subversion back to the grave, blowing up 2 more cards, allowing us to special into the Omni Negate, putting it up in the extra spot, so we have an extra spot. Returning this to the bottom of the deck for one of the Wanteds to draw a card. And then, I mean, it just snowballs so out of control once your opponent runs out of things that aren't board breakers. I mean, even a detonator can only do so much when you start just snowballing 3, 4, 5 cards a turn. This would reset on the resolution of the summon. So, and then you have this in hand. You have Woes, Sinful, Apps, return a bunch of shit, fusion into a fucking interruption, excuse my language, synchro into another interruption, and then the 2 in the grave, you can literally just bounce them back. Or if you want a better interruption and you need this interruption again, you can bounce this back, re-adding her at the end of your turn. Deception resets, so you end up with 4 cards on your turn, or on your opponent's turn. You can return, special, add, activate, special from deck, which I would do the Elzet Azamina of the White Forest to search for another Sinful Spoils card to immediately synchro summon, to Book of Eclipse the board again. When you activate Sinful Spoils of the White Forest, this blows up 2 more cards. When you activate this, you get to blow up 2 more cards plus return whatever. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 cards on the field you get to return with that 1 trap card. Does it always happen that way? No. Nothing ever goes according to plan, but that's the goal, is to just build a lot of momentum while blowing up the board. So I apologize for the 45-minute video. I will try not to make them so long next time. That's not really the intended goal, but there's just a lot going on in my head about how this deck should be running and how it does run. And every time I've used this version and practice with this version, it works the way I want it to. And it sets up pretty decent boards. I usually just misplay some really dumb things, like forgetting to reset the Deception, forgetting to activate this effect on the Regina. It's just some dumb things that I do, because Regina's just really good. These are just good cards. We're gonna try to stop this autofocus in the future videos. Apologize for that. I can't even get come back into focus now. which is rather annoying. I just really like this card. I didn't realize it said Snake Eyes Monster and not Snake Eyes Poplar, because I was really trying to do fusion deployment with this, but then I realized I can't do it. So, and like I said, one of these will probably come out for Typhoon, because Typhoon's just another small board breaker. So that is the current profile. Anything anybody would like to add if they see this video, go ahead. I'm sure there's people who've been playing this deck a lot more than I have, definitely a lot longer than I have. But overall, this is the version I decided to play, and I enjoy board breaking and interrupting. So thank you all, and I will see you with the next non-meta deck I can find. Fortunately, sometimes it is meta. Today is like 1.5.